Right, welcome to this tutorial on the BMW Z4 E89 on Nurburgring Sprint, which is also the Kunos career event N2 number 2. So this video has 4 parts. First, we're gonna have just a quick look at the lap, my best lap. Then we're gonna have a look at the car setup before we have a closer look at the fastest lap, some tips and tricks. Then finally we're just gonna have a quick look at the career event, which you can expect. So without any further ado, let me present my lap. Okay, car setup. Let's go. So first, since this is a street car, there's nothing to do about the gearing. Then we obviously want to use the best tires, which are semi-slicks. Then for the pressures, it's quite normal setup with a little bit less pressure on the outside, just to balance the hot pressures. Then for the fuel, we only need 4 laps, which is just barely possible on 7 liters. I mean, if you might want to use 8, but you're probably gonna be fine on 7. I mean, since it's single player, you can just restart anyways, so it's usually not a problem. Then I'm driving with the traction control off, but the ABS on. I found that there was quite some time to gain on turning ABS on for this car, especially into turn 1. Just extremely hard to be consistent without ABS. Then for the alignment, this is pretty much the only serious setting change that we have on this car. You can see we have basically as much camber as we can in front, and as much toe in as we can in front. This is simply to help with the oversteer, because the standard setup on this car is extremely oversteered. So we're just doing what we can to make it a bit more balanced. Then the same for the rear, actually. For the rear end, the toe slider goes the other way. So again, we have as much camber as we can and as much toe in as we can, just to make the car more stable and less prone to drift. So it's kind of an extreme setup, really. Just as much negative camber and as much toe in as you can, both ends. At least that's what I ended up doing. And even with this, it's still a bit too much oversteer, in my opinion. It's just we don't have any more settings to set. Then, well, we have ABS, so brake power 100, and there's no pit stops, so yeah. That's it for setups. Okay, so before we roll the clip, we're just gonna make a comment about the car in general, because this car has a very strong tendency to oversteer. So basically throughout the lap, you'll see that we're trying to handle the oversteer as our top one priority. You kind of want to force the car into a sort of an understeer, just to keep the rear in check. Every time you have to catch a drift, you end up dropping the throttle, and then you lose a lot of time. So that's just one point about the general driving style of this car. So yeah, let's roll the clip. You see we're on the previous lap still, but any good lap starts with a good exit. So you can see we want to use the track on the exit here. Keep it straight and nice without hitting grass. Decent exit there. And then we're heading down to turn 1, which is probably the most important corner on this track. You can see there's plenty of room to go very wide here. But you want to like sneak it just up here. Sneak it just into the apex, as close as possible, and to the curb. But on the other hand, if you hit the curb back there, there's a drop that's gonna unsettle the car. So you want to get it just right, as tight as you can. Then into here, it's all about being smooth. Getting on the curb here a little bit, then you can use quite a lot of curb here on the exit. The only thing you want to make sure is that you're back off the curb before you brake into the next corner here. And you can kind of pinch the entrance here a bit. You don't have to go all the way out on the right side. You can go a bit straighter in, brake kind of straighter towards the apex. You want to kind of hold back a bit through the left-hander here. Get further to the left than maybe you ideally would want, just to open up the right-hander here. Get a straighter line here and a better exit. You can climb a bit on the curb here as well. Then you go basically as far out as you can here. And then into this one, the next corner here. It's a bit special because there's we're crossing over the track here, right? We're taking a shortcut, so to speak. There's an edge there, so there's an elevation drop, which makes it really easy to unsettle the car. And in this car, that's going to make you catch a huge drift. So I kind of aim for the inside on the braking here. Kind of a very untypical, kind of like this. You can see we're already basically extremely early apex here. And then we just try to hold it around here. Straighten up and go on the throttle again. And also into here, you can use a bit on the green stuff here on the right side, just to get the straighter line through this left-hander. But as you'll see here, you have to be really smooth when you're on the green stuff, or else you're gonna end up with a drift like this, because it is slippier than tarmac by all means. And probably on this lap, I lost a few tenths in this corner actually, because you can see I have to counter steer here and lift to catch the drift. I was probably on for a 45 or something if I didn't do that. But it was a decent catch, so the lap is still the best lap. And then also this right-hander. This right-hander is probably the second most important corner on the track, because it decides your exit onto the longest straight. And coming through the previous left-hander, your car is kind of, you know, it's the weight balance is shifting all the way from one side to the other, right? And it's quite a fast corner too. So it's really easy here to catch a counter drift on the momentum when you flick the car around. You have to really just try to settle the car down, force some kind of understeer, and then just go fast enough to not run out of exit. You can see we managed to get a bit of understeer here, and then it was a decent exit after all, despite the shenanigans on the left-hander. Then you're coming up to the chicane here. You can brake a little bit after the 150 mark. Then you want to get the car stopped pretty much before you turn in. You can see there's a bit of trail braking going on here, not that much. And then you want to hit just outside the cone, right? As far in as you can. Get as straight as possible without getting the cut penalty. Same on this side. And then there's the final corner, which I ended up doing in third gear, because I feel like you don't gain anything by going second here. It's kind of a long apex, and then you use as much track as you can. Get on the throttle nice and smooth. And that's a lap. Right. I hope that can help someone somewhere. So, now we're on the grid for the Kunos career event. We're using the AI on strength 90%, which is the CM recommended setting, just to check how it works. And then I just want to say about this car, there's something funky going on with the clutch here. Even if you put it in first, and even if you deploy the clutch fully, you're gonna move when you hit the throttle, so you can't really put it in first and then rev it and then start. So what I did was that I just put it in first, idled, and then I just jumped on the throttle when the lights went out. That seems to have worked pretty well. You can probably rev it in neutral and then click it into first when the start goes. That's probably also gonna work. So let's have a look. Here we go. Just jumping the throttle in. You see this M3 is always gonna wiggle a bit. But there was a gap for us, so we just went. And then since this is 90, he did go for the inside here. He did, but yeah. We're safely past him in the second corner. Then you can dive down the inside here if you're close enough. That works pretty well, because they're gonna get the poor exit here, so you can get ahead. And then for this corner, you want to take a tight line anyways, so you don't really lose any time by blocking. And then there's only the leader left. And since this is 90%, He gets a kind of poor exit onto the straight here, so we can follow like relatively closely. And then he even brakes here, so he doesn't gain much speed on us. So we can just brake past him into the chicane. Yeah, a bit of a bump there, but yeah. Then we're up to first. I'm just gonna fast forward this a bit actually. See, there's probably not gonna be much happening this race from now on. Essentially just lapping. Lap 2. Running a 46.9. Half a decent time. So yeah, he's basically already gone from the mirror, right? Yeah, he's basically gone already. And there goes the battle. Yeah. 90% is really not that hard. You can win quite easily, I think. Okay, so finally, we're on to AI 100. Full strength. And I'm not gonna lie, this is actually kind of hard. See, the start works pretty much the same way. The E92 is wiggling back and forth. Not really sure what he's up to. But I mean, you can see overall his start is better. Then we're going to send it down the inside here. It's a bit of a bump there. I think that's on him. Then you can see the 1Ms already have a bit of a gap here, right? Because they're starting 1 and 2. So they definitely have an advantage off the line. And the truth is, they're actually driving pretty quickly too. I think they're also in the 46s. So you don't really have any more time on them. You can see here we're kind of having our hands full keeping up. Then we have the E92 in the mirror as well. So we kind of have to be a little bit on guard, not to let him pass on the straights. Yeah, a bit of a wobble there. Yeah, end of lap 1. Kinda close. Then they just put the throttle down. Then we're not close anymore. You see, we're braking a lot later into turn 1. It's just never going to be close enough to actually get past there. Our passing opportunity is probably here into turn 3. It's probably the best option. Because after turn 1 and 2 we're pretty close. You can kind of dive down here. You can see this time I got all the way past. So it was a pretty good move, I have to say. But then the problem is that this orange guy, he's probably like just a hint faster than the grey one. And that little hint faster is just a little too fast to get close enough in the right places. So yeah, I think I retried this about well, somewhere between 10 and 20 times. And every time you restart the race, the AI has like, they behave slightly differently, right? So if you go for like an infinite amount of tries, I'm sure you're gonna find a cycle where the AI is makes some sort of mistake so that you can get past. But yeah, for me, this was the closest thing I got. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe I'll just see, we're too far away here. I'm just gonna skip this forward a bit. See, it's gonna be pretty much this for the rest of the race, I think. Us just doing the best we can to keep up. You see, we did like a 46.6 on the previous lap, so it's not like we're driving poorly or anything. What about this lap? 46.8. It's kind of decent, at least for having a car in front of you with sort of weird lines sometimes. A bit of a drift there. But you can see every time he gets on the throttle, he just pulls too much of a gap for us to dive into the next corner. That's really the story of this race. Yeah, final braking here. We're way too far back. Then, yeah, this is the finish line. So yeah, that's second place. Yeah, if you manage to do it, if you manage to get the first place here, I'd really love to hear about it. So let me know.